Look, the Chicago Bears just got music to their ears for the Cincinnati Bengals matchup, and I wanted to get on here before church. Frankly, I'm just excited about this game today, and we're kind of looking at a situation here. We're looking at a dangerous passing offense and an injured secondary. You put these two ingredients together, that could add up to trouble. But I don't think the Chicago Bears need to be intimidated one bit. I mean, you've got Flacco looking to be playing today. Let's see how well he can play. We got to expect the Cincinnati Bengals air attack to be firing on all cylinders, though. But as for the secondary, Tyrique Stevenson, he's back. And I want to talk about a little what that entails with him being back, and no one should minimize how important this is. So let's kind of get to the music part. And let's hear something from Ben Johnson. He not only sees a completely different secondary getting set for this matchup today, he can also hear the difference. And this is actually pretty funny. I would say the first thing I notice, not just about Tyrique, but about this whole secondary, is they're a little bit louder right now. Between Jaquan Brisker and CJ Gardner Johnson, new addition. What an addition. And Tyrique out there, all at the same time. I definitely hear them. And it's been a worry for a bit, right? Kyler Gordon being out still. But as you saw, the Bears got aggressive, got tired of things just happening to us. They went out and grabbed CJ Gardner Johnson. And it's just an absolutely great thing to see. And the guy is a world-class trash talker. I mean, Jaquan Brisker's excited about that as well. I honestly can't wait to see this secondary today. I think it's going to get chippy, kind of nasty. And it's been a while since you've seen a Chicago defense play, at least this year, with an edginess, just kind of skirting the rules, just playing chippy, getting under other teams' skin. Watch this on the score. It's a really good breakdown of Tyrique Stevenson coming back. And let's get after Cincinnati in a way that they're not used to teams doing it. And CJ Johnson on becoming a Bear, it's such a good addition. And we're looking at, after months of seeing the Chicago Bears secondary kind of slowly die out with each player getting hurt, right? Each injury that was announced for the secondary, a little part of me was dying inside, each player being placed on IR. But the signing of veteran defensive back CJ Gardner Johnson, I think it's exactly what the doctor ordered here. And excitement is building. I'm excited. And this is to help out a unit. We've had so many losses. Terrell Smith, really promising player. Everybody's forgetting about him. Jalen Johnson hopefully will be back at some point this year, if we give him something to come back to, something to play for. And then Kyler Gordon, he's not able to return yet. But Jaquan Brisker, he's excited to have him back. Kevin Byard and Tyrique Stevenson, they're excited to have CJ Gardner Johnson. Let's hear what Brisker had to say. And this is via ESPN's Courtney Cronin. Especially the way I talk and the way other people talk, we get people's heads. Grown men will be really crying out there, men with kids. Imagine that. Seriously, it's hilarious. I wish I was mic'd up every single game. Now, do we expect grown men to break out in tears? Probably not. Do we expect these three players to get into other players' heads, especially chirping against this Cincinnati Bengals team that absolutely has to win as well? I think you very well might see this being a contributing factor. And he's definitely going to provide everything that Gordon would on this team in the short term. And he knows his defense so well, and he can hit the ground running. I mean, CJ Gardner Johnson, he's a world-class trash talker. All three of them are. And it comes from confidence, right? This is Johnson talking about Stevenson. He looks good. He looks like his normal self. Excited to see that group compete here this weekend. And he was removed Friday from the injury report after consecutive full practices. So let's talk about how important Tyrique actually is. And I had the wrong graphic up earlier. Sorry, I'm my own producer this morning. But his physical style of play for sure. But let's actually look at some numbers here. He was number one this year among cornerbacks against the run so far. 27th against the pass. That's still an enormous upgrade over his first 2 years. Last year he finished 83rd against the pass and 86th overall. He was 85th in 2023 against the pass, and 82nd overall. But now we're moving him up to be number one among cornerbacks against the run, 27th against the pass. And this is what Clay Harbor had to say. He thinks getting Tyrique Stevenson back could be huge for the Bears secondary. And I quote, the last few weeks before his injury, this guy's looking like a number one cornerback. And I think a lot of people agree, like PFF agrees. If you look at their ratings, his passer rating against when targeted is 67.2. That's pretty darn good. And he's only allowed 1 touchdown in coverage. And you're looking in his first 2 seasons, Stevenson allowed 13 touchdown passes. He's only allowed 41.7% completions. That's 10 of 24. That's getting close to lockdown here. And after giving up over 60% and 59% his first 2 seasons. What an improvement. So much of that could be contributed to defensive coordinator Dennis Allen. He immediately sent him to essentially boot camp through our cornerbacks coach. That was one of the first priorities to kind of get his head right. I shouldn't say boot camp. It's a camp that's used for many, many NFL players like Malik Neighbors. Brock Bowers went there. It's not like a reform school, sorry, but it was the right thing to do to get his head right and to get him focused for this season. And also, Bayard, he had a lot to say about this edition of Gardner Johnson. I mean, a lot of people will view Gardner Johnson like his tactics are negative, I guess. But Bayard, he views his mentality as a definite positive, and I agree with this 100%. But let's hear directly from him. The things he's done on the field are great, and his off-the-field stuff in other buildings, I can't speak for that because I wasn't there. I mean, he bounced back and forth between teams earlier in the season. He's kind of getting more of a head case reputation. But let's hear what Bayard has to say, not us. But to me personally, I'm under the belief that I think on each side of the ball, offense, defense, you need at least 1 or 2 of those guys on the field because they bring a certain level of juice. This game is played violently. You need someone to go in there and be that spark. Obviously, you know the history of this city, the Chicago Bulls of Dennis Rodman. Sometimes you need guys like that out there. I absolutely love this. I think our leadership group on this team, we can hold things together, and I don't personally think it'll be an issue. He's been around this defense. I have a lot of respect for this man. He has a lot of respect for me. I think this is going to work out fantastically. He's going to kind of play on the inside as he gets reacquainted with this defense, and he plays a physical style, right? But he's kind of more built as a safety. So he's going to play in the slot. That's going to work for him. He has fantastic coverage skills. And we're looking at a player that twice in his career, he's had 6 interceptions. He also had a league-leading, really, performance with the Philadelphia Eagles in their Super Bowl year in 2022. He also had a big part of that team just this last year. And you're looking at defensive backs and wide receivers, some of the biggest talkers on the football field. We happen to now have 3 of them. And if Jalen Johnson comes back at some point, just look at if we can hold this down and win some football games. We could end up having a secondary comprised of Tyrique Stevenson, Kyler Gordon back healthy, Jaquan Brisker, Kevin Byard, and now CJ Gardner Johnson. I'll take that any day. I think we have the locker room makeup to definitely hold this down, to keep him accountable. And I think this is a lot to be excited about. We're also looking at Booker being back for this game. We've had a difficulty rushing from the outside besides Montez Sweat. Dio hasn't really measured up to what he was billed to be when he got all that money in the offseason. I'm not going to chalk it up as a failure just yet. But if you hear it from our defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, he's saying being able to bounce around Dio, him actually rushing from the inside has been his strength. And now that we have Booker, now that he's ready to rotate in at defensive end, we have something that we're lacking on this defensive line: speed and a relentlessness. If you saw Booker in the preseason and you even know what type of player he is, excuse me, the guy has a nonstop motor. He's going to be able to provide a speed presence on the outside of this defensive line that's really been lacking, and Dio can be shifted around. This is also a really good opportunity for Jarrett to really ball out and be a leader. I'm excited about this game. I'm not nervous about it one bit. I think the Bears can fully handle the Cincinnati Bengals. And if you watch my video from yesterday, the Cincinnati Bengals might have the worst defense in NFL history, with a play caller that is almost incapable of making an in-game adjustment. That's going to be kryptonite versus our head coach, because say what you will about what this team is doing, Ben Johnson adjusts and changes up things throughout the game, especially from halftime on, second half of games. He's going to be hard to play chess against if you're inexperienced. And in the Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator, he's never called defensive plays before. Sometimes that can be okay. This time it's not. Look for the Bears offense to go off and for this secondary to be the difference in stopping these receivers. Bring on Flacco, you guys. Bear down. Enjoy the game today, and we'll talk after. See ya.